Welcome to the DNX Show with Josh Reason and Todd Ryan. We're here every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. We get rolling pretty quick here. I was on time, of course. I'm always on time. Chuck Mangione died today or yesterday or sometime. So did Hulk Hogan. And of course, we know Ozzy's gone and Malcolm Jamal Warner used to come in threes, but now there's so many celebrities, and I'm saying, people that have been on TV, music business, and so on, that happens a lot more when Larry and I were kids. Zoot, you too. Remember there'd be like in the paper, and I know people get mad. What? How come they'll list a celebrity or some actor that was on a TV show? Because it just so happens that millions of people happen to know these folks. Okay, so they used to put it in the paper and it'd be like once. You couldn't believe it. Mitzi Gaynor died, whoever the frig, right? So you would see it and it would happen every so often. And of course, now it happens a lot because it's in the 60s. In the 60s, there were very few, um, you know, there were very few TV stars because TV just started a decade earlier. So very few TV stars. And Southern, My Mother the Car. Okay, so there were very few TV stars. So when it happened, a lot of people were like, shit, I watch that person every week. It wasn't more important than your aunt that passed, okay? It wasn't about that. It was just, and how was your week? We had Rona Barrett or some of the other ones. Anyway, these gossip columnists who reported on Hollywood, and then you'd see a death of a Hollywood star, and it didn't mean more than somebody that you knew, and they were not more important than the guy at the butcher shop. But they would publicize it, and like I'm getting at is so celebrities would pass, and it'd be they come in threes. My mom would always say they come in threes, and back then it meant something. Now I just mentioned four people: Ozzy, Malcolm Jamal Warner, Hulk Hogan, and Chuck Mangione. It's all in a couple days. It seems like all within the last week. But anyway, a lot. Like I said, now there's so many more celebrities out there, well-known folks. And I saw posts on. You see them for the last decade, right? Posts on X where somebody says, "Well, I'm mad. I've been getting a lot of bullshit posts because somebody tagged me in this General Hospital thing where this woman, who she she's on General Hospital and apparently she hates Trump, and the point is she was wearing a fucking 76, 84 hat or whatever the frig they are, to say get rid of the guy. And people were just mad, and of course somebody posted me. They posted ABC and a bunch of other places. They posted me, so I'm involved in it. But anyway, people always, I saw it was Jeff Daniels, was saying something, and there's some people that are pro the administration, against it, basically for Trump, against Trump. But well, what does anybody care what a fucking actor says anyway? It's not about what an actor says, I said, or a basketball player, or a fucking scientist, or a surgeon. There's smart people from all sectors. So when people discount, well, what that person, it's because they had a platform, they wanted to say it. You don't have to take what they have to say. It's just not any more or less important than somebody else. So when someone thinks, now I'd listen to a politician, or I'd listen to this historian. Well, some of them are fucked up too. But sure, I know people like, if you're a contractor, people like to hear from you about contracting stuff. I guess if you're a basketball player, they don't want to hear about you dribbling. But it always gets my goat when I hear people say, well, what should we listen to that person for? It's not about their profession. There's people that are smart in each profession, wise in each profession, stupid in each profession. But just to think that person shouldn't have an opinion, shut up and dribble. The fuck is that, man? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Always has been. Domain dealer, I'm sure you're over in India. I'm sure you have a thought about this. I'm just kidding. What's your comment, question as we get rolling today for the DNX show? I'm like a fucking radio disc jockey, okay? When I throw it to you, you one, an extra second bothers me, let alone several seconds. So you come off mute, you say, Hey, yeah, you like the flow. So domain dealer, was it a mistake coming on stage, or you wiping the? I know it's fucking 2 in the morning. What's going on? Okay. All right, could fuck up a free lunch. Okay, so you can see it's me. It's me today. I'm sure Josh will come rolling in as soon as he hears the shit I'm about to talk about. No, nothing. Josh posted a bunch of great stuff this week. I mean, when I say great stuff, domain related. The guy's a domainer, domain investor. Really is the best co-host when he's here. He'll be back, from the UK soon enough. Apparently they have no AC over there. It's going to be fucking burning up. Yeah, all that heat where Jeremiah is right now. All the heat in the Midwest. It's about ready to, you know, get right over to the East Coast, and then it's going to blow right over the fucking whatever they want to across the pond, and then it's going to burn him up over there. No AC in the UK. Pretty much, that's how it was in California, but of course not in all spots because there's some folks in California, where when you're in the valley, you got AC, but there are a lot of places along, I lived at the beach, Hermosa and Redondo and Manhattan, those areas, beautiful. Not a lot of, multi-million dollar homes there don't have a lot of AC either because they figure I'll just open the window and the beach air, but usually they're right. Um, okay, somebody requested. I'm not going to ask anybody to come up. That's a lie. I am going to ask people to come up, but I would like to say, raise your hand, come on up, raise some hell. Come on, we're going to do this big thing today. Busting people's ass. Hey, hey, Paul, what's up? I accepted it. I hate when I hear a host talking about, well, I look like I clicked the button. Don't know what the hell happened. Unusual for Paul to want to come up here anyway. Okay, so domain dealer. He's laughing like a wild man now. He must be there. So you got your tea in the middle of the night over there in India, and now you're here and you're ready to say something. What's going on?
Hey Todd, I hope that you are doing good. Just realized that that time when I took the mic, I said Toddy. I don't know why I misspelled your name, but anyway, I hope that you are doing good, guys. I hope that you had some great sales. To be honest, I don't have much to say. So yeah, that's it. I hope that you are doing good, guys.
Fuck, that was plenty. That's plenty, and that's good. And just somebody coming off the mic. Yeah, toddy. Toddy for the body. A toddy used to be people call that a drink. It was funny. Somebody said the other day to Ish, they called Paul. It was Paul actually said Ishy. So, of course, my joke was, hey, Ishy, you're ashy. Maybe some aloe. All right. Hey, Paul, what's going on? What's happening?
What's good, Toddy? Pretty good, man. I mean, things were doing all right, just when you think things can get worse for .in. I mean, I don't know if this is a true story or not, but apparently there's a message from Reseller Connect or Connect Reseller, one of those registrars out there, that sent out a message to all .in holders. It says, .in registrations limited to Indian registrants. So .in domain registrations will now be restricted to individuals or organizations based in India. Non-Indian entities will no longer be able to register .in domain names, what you need to do and so forth. And we went and checked around, and there's no other news about this, on from Dynadot. All my names are at Dynadot, but I haven't received a message from Dynadot about it. But and the word around our .in WhatsApp groups is that it's just fake news. But the fact that I guess they're a registry or they're not a registry, they're a registrar, Connect Reseller. The fact that a registrar, accredited registrar, is able to just send a message out like this without any due diligence, to me is like it's because as soon as I got that message, my first instinct is I already have a PAN card, which is like kind of gives me some sort of a nexus tied to India. My next thought process is, okay, I need to go get an office in India. I'm thinking about that, and then I find out a little bit later on that hey, this may not be true. So there needs to be some sort of actions taken against the registrar, when they just put out a message like this without any kind of validation from. There's no message on the NICSI website itself. If you go to the NICSI website, the rules clearly say there's a specific clause in there that says unlimited registrations allowed for .in from anybody in the world. So, that's kind of like that should be grandfathered in, number one, because that's what we based our investments on. But, it's just strange to me that a registrar can do that. So just want to bring that to your attention that it's just, I don't think it's true it's happened, but the fact that a registrar can do this is beyond my comprehension at this point now. There should be some sort of liability against these guys.
.in can't catch a break. I mean, there's never great news like, hey, now this international company decided to use a .in because it's a cool CCTLD extension, and there's, I think, a government doesn't need to, give up the whole thing. Meaning like Anguilla doing the fuck it, doesn't mean Anguilla anymore, just means AI. So fuck it, don't worry about us. Well, the 5 people that want to do business here, they can pretend it means Anguilla, but basically it's like the Colombia. I think there's some Colombian companies that use .co, but they think it's a great opportunity for maybe for both. So that's what I expected or was hoping for .in, that it would be, we have 1 billion people here. We understand that we could keep it just, for India, but why not allow others to use it, as long as, and they can have some rules, like they say some places are, we really frown upon, or we'll just restrict porn, or if they want to do gaming, or definitely I like when the CCTLDs are strict on the important stuff like counterfeits, and maybe but usually the governments don't have these uh, I guess the personnel or the departments to really go after abuse. It seems like there's usually independent organizations that get involved. But yeah, I'm curious. Well, what did I see Samit here? I'm not going to invite him up. I want him to raise his hand. That's like if I can ask him to pull it
Yeah, I
too.
mean,
But what he
discussing it
say
with
in the chat?
yeah, I've been kind of discussing it with him. We had a conversation this morning. As soon as we got it, we got on a kind of a video chat with a bunch of us, and and then the final verdict was that, hey, this is just fake news. This is just one registrar spreading FUD, and don't know any reason why. So it's just everything is just so recent, and we don't know why. But then you think about it. I mean, there must be something behind it. There must be something back there that caused them to send this. They're not just going to send it out for no reason, scare the shit out of it, everyone, because we haven't received the message from we haven't received the same message from other registrars. So to me, this is FUD, and yeah, that's all my thing was. It's like, how can someone just come out there and just throw that out there where it's not even on the NICSI's website? They should be the first ones to, if there's any kind of news like this, the registry operator themselves, in this case NICSI, they should be the ones that put the news out there. But yeah, you're right. It's with any CCTLD, you're in the, you're at their behest. So.
Well, Paul, tell us just a little bit. Anybody knows anything about it or wants to comment on risks of investing in CCTLDs? I mean, we know, I guess that the Yugoslavia that went out of business because the country changed. I don't know, So there's been things that have happened, but then they've been, uh, I guess, moved to other extensions, or I don't know. I don't even really know. Usually, I ask Jeff Newman stuff like this. But anybody has any comments on this? But Paul, I want to ask you. Yeah, it does seem weird that a registrar, or if they're a reseller of another registrar, that they would even bring that up. It's it doesn't really make sense, and so it would make me think maybe they have some indications of there's conversations of something happening where becoming more restrictive, and they're putting it out there early for some reason. But I want to ask you, Paul, when was, well, of all the guys that that have .in portfolios, how many of them are in India and how many aren't? Because you're in Orange County. I mean, so how many really don't have or aren't, main residents in India?
I'd say a good portion of them are in India, but some of the larger investors with some of the better portfolios are based in, all over. So Canada, I'm not going to say names out there, but yeah, there's people out there that have huge portfolios of domains. I mean, I think it's pretty well known that Rick Latona has one of the largest portfolio of .in domain names. He's a big part of our groups as well, and so yeah, he's probably like one of I'm not mistaken. I don't know. Maybe someone come up here and verify it, but I'd say one of the largest investors that I know, one of the largest portfolios. I wouldn't say quality. I'd say quantity, or more for him. But yeah, they're all over the place. I'd say majority again in India, but yeah.
Right. The reason I ask that quickly is because I know, and I did not know that. Hey, Paige, I know you. It sounds like Johnny Carson did. I did not know that. That
But
was with Rick
Todd, just
Latona.
real quick, it's the government itself that's involved. For some reason, it just seems like they're not interested in making money. You have a beautiful two letters, .in. It's a word. You're lucky you didn't get stuck with .pk for Pakistan. You can't do shit with that. With .in, you can put it before, found in. It turns into a beautiful hack. So many hacks. IN, international, internet. You want to shorten your .inc domains? Get rid of that C. Hop on board. This is the way I would market .in. For them, they don't give a rat's ass. They don't care about revenues. They're just sitting back. It's a government entity. They're fat checks, sitting there, and they're doing their thing. So that's my view on what's going on.
Log in, sign in. Okay. Shut in. Okay. Hey, Paige, what's going on today?
Well, I was just going to sit here and do some work and listen in, see what's going on. Yeah, country code, domain names. Paul, I feel your pain, and I'll expand the issue to this, which I've learned over all these years. It's like you have no idea where this announcement came from. And there's a part of domaining I don't like, which was that it started in people in little tiny cubicles being given franchises to do something and feel like they control it. And there's like a power, we know what you don't know. And it's always been like a behind the curtain, just like what you're talking about now, issue these edicts. You don't have to deal with the real world. I don't know what I'm really trying to say, but except that I think companies in our space, they see the world one way. And then there's like a mirror or a piece of glass that we're both looking through at each other. And then we see the world this different way. What we would say is reality, or what's fair, or what should be done, or what's respectful, or this, that, and the other, and when you said that, who knows what they may have discovered something wacky and out of the blue. I'll give you an example. They may have decided that they can't sue a company that isn't in India. So they just say, oh, I got a solution for that. Make everybody be in India. This is just the registrar, not the registry. You know what I mean? So you just never know, I guess, what prompts these things. But it's usually reactionary. It's behind the times. But yeah, Todd, you asked like who's in charge of a country code, or shouldn't there be rules for the different parties? And there's not, because the countries see these as natural assets of the country. They're definitely have to make agreements with registries and registrars. But and I know this because I help market.la, so I'm painfully aware of the repercussions, or what people want to throw at us and everything. So I've never understood IN. Some people say it's open, some people say it's not, some people say it's open with a wink wink. And that's probably reflected in the pricing of what you can get and what you can't get. So to me, I'd say your investments, which I know you have some great INs, they're probably reflective of this risk. So I don't know if your portfolio took a hit today, because I think this type of risk is already in the names. But yeah, it would be great if this type of risk was removed. And then I think IN names seemingly should be trading it higher than they do. Does that make sense, that all this is factored in, but man, we wish it'd be better? I'm finished.
Yeah, no, 100% Paige. It makes sense what you said. Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about how do you overcome some of the challenges page. But first, I mean, with these, .la, basically when you're offering an extension. But I see Samit's up here first. So before we get to that, .la, another country code, I want to ask Samit and then our other friend, who I don't know his name, joined us on stage, what comments they have about this topic. Hey, Samit.
Thanks, Todd. Can't stay down on a conversation about .in. So I've always been a CCTLD enthusiast. I started the CCTLD forum on NamePros in 2008, somewhere around there. And the only CCTLD at that time which was popular was, I guess, .tv. The person who turned me on to .tv was Raymond Hackney, the TLDinvestors.com. But knowing the Indian market and the Indian opportunity, I started buying and holding on to .in domains specifically, not co.in, not any of the other extensions. Though I did buy 70 odd third levels which are not .co.in, but that's for an entirely different project, and that worked out pretty fine. .in, the problem is there's too much FUD around it. And the FUD, some of it is based in fact. Listing a .in for sale or parking it was automatically considered bad faith in the INDRP, which is a problem, right? Because even if it's a generic word, that would, and there were certain decisions like all.in and honey.in and a couple of others, plus.in, which people had trademarks for them, Indian companies. But even then, the generic nature should have been considered, but they weren't. The domains were handed over. The registry also messed up with stuff like internet.in, which actually someone filed a INDRP on it and the registry said, no, okay, but neither of you can have it because we want to keep it. So there is that. CCTLDs generally are dependent on the registry. And if you really read the AI rules before Donuts took it or before Identity Digital took it, you wouldn't have bought AIs to start with either. Of course, they never enforced it, but that's a different matter. Similarly, with .in, it's listed on CEDO. It's listed on DAS. It's listed on, I think you can list them on Atom and even Seller Hub now. As long as you are not an accredited .in registrar, you are allowed to sell .in domains at a premium. And even some people ignore that. There are certain registrars I know of who list premium .ins on their website. And the registry just ignores it, right? Till you face a dispute, till someone wants that particular domain, there is no problem. But .in, I mean, just consider 1/6 of humanity lives in India. We're one of the fastest growing economies in the world. The market is massive. We have the second or third highest startups in the country. There are more businesses in India than probably the whole of Europe combined. The demand is massive. Only 4 million domains registered. Only might seem like a bit of a stretch compared to, say, .ai or whatever. But 4 million in a country of 1.4 billion is insignificant. There are 33 million registered businesses, like what you have incorporated or private limited in India. We have 33 million of those. We've got another maybe 30 odd million of unregistered businesses or micro enterprises. And each of them will require a domain name. Will all of them buy premium domains? Probably not. Will a small percentage? Absolutely. But even out of 4 million domains, I'd assume maybe 100,000, 150,000 actually have inherent value, what I like to say. Those domains, like the ones Paul has, for example, I mean, they're killer domains. An industry domain is massive. He's got, I'm just going to mention one, I guess. You mind, Paul?
No, go ahead, and I'll speak for him. Go ahead.
So he's got cement.in. The cement industry, if you do the industry review for India, you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. You're not talking about 1 billion, 2 billion, 5 billion. We're not like a small economy. We're the world's third largest or fourth largest economy right now. And we're growing. We're growing faster than all the even other economies which are already what you call first world, US, UK, Europe, any country, any Commonwealth country, the amount of business, if I was running a cement industry, in fact, I just mentioned this to Paul earlier today. If I was running a cement company, this would be a no-brainer. 100 grand is probably what they spend on lunch, man. These companies are massive. They have like millions of dollars of transactions every day. And it's not just one company, there are like hundreds of these companies. So if I want to denote leadership in an industry, 100K is nothing. I've organized conferences where they spend 100 grand on a 3-day conference or a 2-day conference for the company itself, internal conference. And they don't even think twice about it. It's not like they need major approval. A general manager level guy will approve it and they will have a conference in a city. For one city, I'm talking about. If you look at national level marketing, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars per company. It's a complete no-brainer. So we're still at that unexplored opportunity phase. Will you get 100K for it today? Yeah, probably, but it'll be difficult. But from a investor perspective, if you can pick up category killers or great brandables like say Quantum.in or Super.in or Smart.in, some of those one words which are killer one words which make great brands and all that. You could probably get one for 15, 20, 30K, which might sound like a lot considering it's a CCTLD. But you have .now domain selling for 80K now. Again, not really sure whether those are worth mentioning in the same breath, but because there's no inherent market for .now or any other new GTLD. CCTLDs with a lot of local usage like .nl, .de, .uk, they do exceptionally well. .fr, they do exceptionally well. In Australia, it's only .au or .com.au right now and .au. In the UK, most of the sites are .co.uk and .uk to a certain extent. Same with Canada. CCTLDs are very popular in their countries of origin. Like in Brazil, I think it's almost 100% BR or COM-BR, whatever the other extensions are. So local markets for CCTLDs, which are not refashioned for the US market, .io, .ai, .tv, .co, have all been refashioned for a US market. They have their popularity, but that's a very US-centric view. The United States population is 350 million. We have 5 billion people on it. It's not the only market. It is the most powerful. They have the most money to spend. But China, India, Russia, they're not poor countries by a long shot. And now Middle East is picking up. .ae is picking up. Qatar is picking up. .qa. Oman. But Oman, again, there are restrictions. Again, these countries, the domain name itself, the extension itself isn't very appealing. .in is a word, dictionary word. .us, I always like .us.
I
I've
just
had a
wanted to
few,
add.
then I realized.
I just want to add this, what it's forced us to do, Samit, I think you'll agree with this, is kind of think outside the box because we can't go the traditional route of .com marketing and use Afternic and these traditional marketing methods. Anything that's a registrar we can't operate on. So Atom is fine for now. CDU is fine. I think Atom may have recently got their accreditation, but so far it's been okay. CDU has been pretty much the only consistent one over the years that has that we've got for myself speaking, the higher level sales have been through CDU. But it's the same way that when we were, with Google and they released the Panda and Penguin updates. That's exactly what we've been going through. We were forced to kind of adjust our marketing methods. Okay, our sites are, we have duplicate content. All that's our whole site. Now, how do we market it? One day you're on page 1 to 3, and the next day you show up, you're in the black hole. You don't show up till page 20 for all your entire index of your entire website. And that is consistent because now they have new rules in place. And that's been the same for us with .in. We can't market the traditional way. We can't do, we wish we could do auctions and everything else through these, Afternic and so forth, but we can't. So for the most part, we have to create our own landing pages. I've had my own advertising platform and so forth. And so, that's kind of the route that we've taken to adjust for the restrictions that are in place. But yes, I didn't mean to cut you off, buddy. I just want to add that in there before I forget.
No, it's great. I mean, if you're willing, say a domain like cement, even if you have it parked on a sales lander, I don't think you'll have a problem. Because for anyone to prove that they own exclusive rights to a domain like cement is very difficult. I mean, it's a generic, right? How are you going to prove that only you have the right to cement? So there have been, in fact, if you see the last couple of years, generic keywords are doing very well in INDRP. The arbitrators are rejecting the whole complaint out of hand because of the generic nature. Now, if you have a brand which is using that and they have a trademark before you register the domain, all that comes into play. But generics, I don't think you have too much of an issue listing them for sale. GoDaddy or Afnic doesn't allow them because GoDaddy is an accredited .in registrar. Same with Dynadot. And I think a couple of other registrars who are accredited .in registrars. But otherwise, it's an open market there. And, people spread all kind of FUD. The whole FUD aspect of it, I don't want to get into details in the recorded room, but I'm happy to elaborate. You can always DM me or whatever, and I'll tell you what the problem with that is. But it's vested interests. There's a cabal out there which doesn't want .in to the limelight because that affects their business. And I'd rather not get into that right. It's a huge opportunity. It's a massive opportunity. Again, I don't care because I don't think even Paul cares because we've already bought what we wanted to buy. I am looking at it purely as a development play. I don't even want to sell them. And Paul laughs at me because I don't list them for sale. I don't park them. I develop what I have. I've got almost like 100 plus websites, so maybe 200 websites almost on .in. And I'm developing the rest. So I'm just changing the way I develop them. But yeah, eventually all my domains will be developed. .in domains will be developed.
Make sure you got that. Make sure you got that in there in case Nixie's listening.
Sorry?
I said make sure you got that in there in case Nixie's listening.
No. I mean, it's a fact. I don't list them for sale, so that they're not for sale. I do sell when someone makes me an offer, which I can't refuse, but then that's true for anybody, right? All businesses are for sale. They're a commercial enterprise at the end of the day.
Okay. King was hold on. King was laughing. He laughed at something you said. He's going to roll over for the bullshit I'm about to say. Okay, so many things there. First of all, I agree. Cement.in, great name. Why do you think I hang out with Paul? Because I know he's got $1 billion worth of .in names. I'm like, it's going to pay off, I think, someday, and call me when it does. Anyway, check out skin.in. That's a thing a partnership that Paul and I are working on together. And in Skin, the extension does mean something. Now, getting to Summit, okay, I wouldn't say it's 1/6 of humanity because from what I understand, half the people there are inhumane. Okay, that was a joke to all my Indian friends. Chill out. Toddy joking. Okay, and about, the other joke was, well, I got so many of them, I can't even say. Oh, when Paul said, don't mean to cut you off, it's a fucking Gettysburg Address. 7 years ago, our forefathers fought on this motherfucker. Okay, so in Page did exactly what all Americans do when they hear about .in. He got the fuck out of here. He just left. Paul, I said, Page, I want to talk to you in a minute. He's like, he took. I hope he didn't take sleeping pills. I said, Page, somebody call and check on Page for me, would you? Let me ask my assistant. Hey, you too, would you? Okay, so maybe Paige will come back and talk about Laos. That's the .la. I'm going to ask him about challenges that he has. It is, but okay, getting to Summit, the .in, it does make sense. Tons of folks that, like I said, it's really made to order for a CCTLD, meaning, okay, people love the .co, the .ai means something, but .in shouldn't be, when I say far behind, it should be in the mix there, like you say. .br for Brazil, that extension for as a country code does okay because Brazil's so big and they really utilize it. and it's not really international at all. No other countries, nobody else is on .br, but I think that CCTLD is doing okay just because of their own country. The .in you brought up, okay, you brought up the INDRP, right? When you said, you should be okay, Paul, with all these, skin.in, cement.in. He has tons of great industry names, .in. All right. Well, if you're seeing good news in the IDRP with panelists there, these arbitrators, that's great indication because, geez, it is different. We have it. We hit a lot of the panelists in the UDRP. They're biased towards the brands. If you have panelists that were biased towards the government with the INDRP, which we've seen not all great decisions, then it could be an issue. But it's a nice indication that if you're seeing them be fair with generic or descriptive words, because I know the best portfolios are made up of that. I've said so much. It sounded good though. At least I got in like my 3 or 4 jokes. But the inhumane one was pretty cold to say about a whole that. But so how many people are there? You guys got to tell me one more time. Is it 1.1 billion in India? How many people are in India?
1.44 billion is the last figure I heard.
Damn, they need to do that Chinese thing and stop people from having kids there.
We've got more people than China right now.
One
Plus,
out
we've
of
got
every
about-
five. One out of every 5 on the planet.
Jesus
17%.
Jesus Christ. I'm not going to say anything. I mean, fuck, consider me on, I'm Team India now. I'll get my ass kicked. Hey, okay, so Paul, I want to ask you, so just we'll wrap up about the .in because we got so many things to go on. You saw that my partner, me and Josh, sold MCM.ai today for $50,000. When I say we, he mentioned me in the fucking post, so I'm going to take it's not part mine. This guy sells names. I'm browsing around the store. He's selling shit. Oh no, I'm not jealous. Are you kidding? I'm thrilled for him. I really am thrilled for him. Am I jealous? I still want to. When he's looking one way, I'm going to reach my hand in his pocket. Boop. No, I don't know. It seemed like it was too. What's that mean to you? A couple thousand. He doesn't. Anyway, so the guy just sells names like crazy. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about how you can too. Like I would know. Fuck, it's always like a stockbroker, which I was. Let me tell you how to make a bunch of money. I used to tell the stockbroker, if you guys know so much, why don't you guys all fucking billionaires? And they're like, well, we don't. Yeah, never mind. Let's not talk about it, Todd. Paul, when did you, just so we know, when did you first buy .in names? Because I just want to know your patience, and when was the first time you bought .in, and then Summit, you too. When did you first start doing it?
Yeah, Todd, I'm not jealous either. I just unfollowed Josh. But I started in 2007, just kind of tapping into it. But like true investment was 2011. That's when I picked up that 100 domain portfolio. That was 2011. 2007, I had a developed site, a Bollywood social network. And it was like like just an aggregator for Bollywood movies with a chat, a social network. I had the kind of like a Facebook script going as well. Uh, yeah, so a clone script of Facebook for them to communicate in the background. Yeah, that was the whole thing. So it was like a development play. That's how I kind of got into the .ins. And then I had the name was interval.in, and I had not hundreds, but I'd say like maybe like 30 or 40 domains that were pointing over to it, exact match, like watch Indian movies.in, watch Bollywood movies, Bollywood films, so forth. They were just pointing to it, getting a shit amount of traffic, advertising in newspapers, and that was kind of like a great side hustle, a developed movie site. And then you get the DMCA notice. Your first one you ignore, the second one you can't help it. Your hosting company contacts you, and that was the end of that. So that lasted for about 4 years, and then I just kind of started buying them up. Yeah, so that's where he's at. What was your second question, Todd?
Well, no, and I'll ask Summit too. Summit, so hold on. But Paul, so the good news is they're still only like $10 a year. Tell me about renewal. But so to really get down all the stuff, what do you have? 2,000 of them, 500 of them, and what's the renewal?
No chance, my friend.
Yeah.
400, about 400 of them, less 350 of them. And they're about $6 a year. So very manageable, in the terms of like renewals. It's it's manageable.
And Paul's loaded. He's got a fucking fleet of Teslas. So this is nothing. So a lot of people don't have sympathy for you now. $350, $6 a year. Fuck. I mean, I just, they charge me that
I
for
have
an oil change.
What are you talking about? A fleet? I'm not Jason. I have one 7-year-old Tesla. That's it.
Yeah. Every time I see it's different. Okay. So media wizard, Summit. When did you start buying .ins? Just curious. Is it before Paul? And then how many of these things do you have?
So I was offered the portfolio Paul bought. The difference was from India, it takes 2 weeks to get approval, or little more than a week to get approval at that point in time to send that kind of money internationally. Paul was just quicker on the payment. That's how he got them. And the portfolio was about 300 names, if I'm not mistaken. And after he picked through the list, I was offered the rest at the same price and I passed because I was getting similar names cheaper on NamePros. Nobody else was buying .in. I was pretty much the only buyer on NamePros for .ins because most people were trading in .co.in. And I got laughed at a lot. I had a lot of, in fact, if you go back and read some of the threads, you'll find like 14, 15 people calling me an idiot, and I'm the only one defending Zip's law, which is shorter is better. So I always, and the single dot thing really worked for me from a branding perspective. So the big sales at that time, all the guys were doing .co.in. And I was literally the only one buying .in. The advantage was I got them pretty cheap. I got names for like $100, which I've been offered like $3,000 by the guy who sold it. That's ironic, right? But that's how the market flipped. It went from 90% .co.in to 95% .in. And that flip worked for me. I have about 700 now, a little over 700 maybe. But by the way, they're going up in September now, Paul, by $1.50. So it will be $7.50 a year for .in or .co.in.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I just asked my assistant.
Still 750.
Yeah.
750 is still cheaper than most other TLDs out there. And when you compare them to new GTLDs, I mean, it's a no-brainer completely. No premium pricing, no fancy BS. Again, you have to be smart about it. But then it's like, I made my first big sales were .tv. I managed to capture a lot of premium .tvs when the registry changeover happened. I still own media.tv, by the way. So,
hey, who was it you said got you into .tv?
Raymond Hackney.
Oh, Raymond Hackney. All right. Before, I mean, you're going on. I'm missing all sorts of jokes. I'm having a good time. What was my one that I just forgot? It was about, fuck, it'll come to me now. It was on the tip of my tongue. It was about, when you were talking, I was asking my assistant, who also books the guests for the show. I said, get those 14, 15 people that called Salmon an idiot for the show for next week. So we can I want to know who these people were. 14, 15,
Todd, you know what? I've been looking lately. I've been just looking for names, and I noticed the .ai is usually taken for some of these names, but the .io seems to be available nowadays. So I've been going down that route. Plus the renewal is a little bit better, but I've picked up a few .ios over the last, I'd say maybe like 2 months, and I'm looking at one more today. So yeah, I guess it's like if you're going to put these restrictions on me on .in, it's the thing is you have to start looking in different directions. And I still like, single words, kind of hacks of words that make sense. But it's interesting to see that for a lot of these words, the .ai is already taken, and but the .io, which was so hot just a couple of years ago, right before the .ai, it's these ones, this one, it's, they seem to still be available, but yeah.
You guys
That's
love
kind of
talking about domains. Anybody want to talk about domains? Raise your hand, come up, because I'm going to just make jokes all day. Now I think about it, because Paul just shows he's a cheater. Oh, you restrict me? I can't go out? Okay, I'll just go over here to .io. And Samit, when you were saying to Paul about how good his portfolio is, It's like telling Paul, we've been told this for years because he does have a great .in portfolio. It's like, man, you're beautiful. You're going to get married soon. Some big rich guy's going to come pick you up. He's like the hottest. And he just sits there on the bus bench and no one's picking him up. We're like, maybe it's your shoes. We don't know what it is. It's beautiful. You're as beautiful. Can you turn to the left? Look at your profile. Maybe it's the nose. We don't know, but you're not getting picked. It's like we keep telling Paul, that's a beautiful portfolio. Damn, look at that. Turn around for me. Okay, so yeah, okay, I'm on a roll. Anybody want to talk domains? These guys do. I mean, fuck, they want to talk domains every time I say something. They go, oh, about my last joke, Paul interrupted when I told my assistant, I said, get me those 14, 15 people, that said something. And then I was playing Card Sharks with myself, and I said, you know what, I think that number could be much higher. And I was doing like on Card Sharks, and I got my thumb going up. Come on, no whammies. Okay, so I am going to get back to serious stuff now. I see a request. I did all
Where's
that.
Todd? Sorry, where's Josh?
Yeah, we're all here to find out about the big sale.
He said he's coming in the second hour. Like he's like fucking Axl Rose. Comes in, fucking the show's already started. It's fucking ridiculous. But I'll do this for a few more weeks. If he pulls this bullshit.
Paul, you're the opening act, and I'm the follow-on.
Oh well, let me tell you. Who do you think owns Close the Show? I do. And who also owns I Run the Show? That's me. I run the fucking show, so we'll get that straight. Open the show. Josh came in that one week and said, "You're a sidekick." Boy, you should see how I made him cry after that show. All right, so let's see. Hey, Anthony, what's going on? I love calling him Antone. I got a brother and my dad, both named Anthony. Love it, Anthony. What's happening?
He's showing up as a listener for me.
No, I see him as a speaker.
Yeah, he's in New York City. He must be walking down a real
Oh my
busy
God,
street.
Arif is here.
Yeah. Okay, so we got. I sure do want to hear from Anthony because he always got something real smart to say.
Talking to me?
Yeah, Anthony. So he's got something real smart to say all the time, and it's like it's philosophical, it's poetic, and it's fucking I don't know. And then we all try to figure it out, and we pat him. Hey, so what's
Well, I
going
went
on?
from 460. I don't have a lot of time, so I went from 463 .ins, most of which were IDNs, down to about a dozen. And I really got to say, I think Samit's strategy is the winner. I think that's the real way to go with that. And it's a risky asset class because you obviously don't control the government, and they've got their own agenda. But I agree with Paul about the natural advantages of .in. The problem is that there's a lot of I'm on Second Avenue right now. There's a lot of traffic. There are some criminal penalties applied to speech in India, which extend to domain names. And in the United States, we don't have those crimes, those types of speech crimes. And so people who are end users of .ins have to know the rules, and if they want to stay out of trouble, they got to apply those rules. There was a outfit out of Seattle, North Seattle, out of along the water, called Outside.in, and they ran a discussion board, and I thought that was just tremendously risky because they would, if people were to complain to Nixie, the operators at that site could get in trouble for not policing the speech on that site, not deleting posts that were found offensive. So I wouldn't run it for a news site or a discussion board, but I think, as Paul said, it's got a lot of inherent advantages. I haven't got the same email that the Summit and Paul have seen. I don't know why. Maybe it's gone into my spam folder. But I expect, or rather, I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple months or a couple years or even a couple decades that prognosis doesn't come out. Because India, under the current government, which I think has done a lot of good things in some areas, I think it's really looking out for Indian businesses, including SMEs, or small, micro and mid-sized businesses. And it's not looking out for American investors. And I think that's overall, I think that's an appropriate strategy. And if that means controlling the .I use, I don't think that's a bad thing, and we investors need to be prepared for that. All right, I'm gonna take a break.
Hey, thanks, Anthony, and thanks. I know where you're at. It's on Second Avenue. He's the kind of walk around, leave his place, go for a walk, and he's walking fast. Looks like people think he's going somewhere. The guy's going somewhere, going nowhere, just walking around the block. He's looks in the electronic shop like I may go in there. Nope, it's Anthony's. It's fucking awesome. I can't wait to next time I'm in the city. I'm serious, Antone. I can't wait to walk around with you and talk and then act like part of the way I don't even know the guy. Of course, I'm talking with. We're busy. We are busy. Paul, when and he said maybe wait a couple decades. Paul went flush. Fuck, 2 more decades? Yeah, no problem. Oh yeah, my beard's gray now. Okay, Arif.
No, but one
Yeah.
thing he said was there's no free speech in India. There is no free speech in India. But if you think that your daughter is going to be taken away because you said something against the government or something, that's not true at all. There are multiple websites. The Wire is the one or Caravan, The Wire. These are all massively anti-government. They write a lot of unverified stuff, but they get a pass because they're journalists or magazines or newspapers.
I hope you got a deadbolt on your door. Boy, you sure got a mouth on you, Summit. Just kidding. I'm going crazy. Did Summit like
No,
everything?
I don't think...
Yeah, good.
You see on X, there are people every day on X abusing the government, ministers, prime minister. Nothing happens to them. There are certain parties or certain people who have a very thin skin when it comes to themselves. They can abuse, but if you abuse them, then they will file court cases and police complaints and stuff like that.
That was one of my
But we
topics.
all know who they are.
That was one of my topics in there. Thin skin in domaining. And then I said skin.in earlier, and I was looking at my notes, thin skin in, but you talk about in, yes, government, of course, but in domaining. And we felt, well, let's go to Arif. Speaking of thick skin, you really do have thick skin, Arif, because I say stuff, and Arif's like, Todd, ha, 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 Todd. I know he's got a look on his face sometimes when I say stuff, imitate him. He's like,
Yeah,
that's
Todd,
funny.
yeah,
You're
Todd.
a fucking load of laugh. Go ahead.
How you guys doing today? Yeah, no, but the whole .in thing. I mean, it's like, look, we said it a million times for the country codes, right? They could change it at whim, right? And many countries reserve the domains for only citizens or only people in the country or people with businesses in the country, and it makes total sense, right? You want to keep those domains to stimulate your local economy, right? The business there, it makes sense, right? It's not great for investors, obviously, who want to invest in those extensions, but as a policy for your government, for your country, it makes total sense. And conversely, if it's a tiny country where you'll never end up using anywhere close to all the domains, like Tuvalu and Anguilla and all these smaller countries, it makes sense for them to do the opposite and make some revenue from it, right? It's but we always know, like I've said it a million times, it can change at the government's whim. The government could change. You could put the president or the prime minister or king or whatever it is can put their brother in charge, and their brother wants to make a little side money and sell a couple of domains to friends, the good ones, and put the money in his pocket, and that's what happens, right? It's not cool. It's not good when it happens to that degree, but that's the rules of the country codes. They can do what they want. It's I don't know. I try to avoid them for that reason. I don't even invest in .ca, but that's just because I don't think the demand is really there. I like to do in .com, but yeah, that's that. But I came up to mention a lot of us getting the issues with GoDaddy, the access denied errors. They're finally going to work on it. Their thing up until now was basically, refresh clear your cache, use a different browser, blah blah blah, all this other stuff. But I think they're kind of realizing that it's a bigger deal than they thought it was. There's a lot more people complaining than they thought, and so they're going to try and figure out a way to make it so that when you are logged in, you'll bypass whatever security precautions they have for bots and whatnot. So that's kind of good news, and the time frame is in a few weeks. So it's not great news, but at least it's better than nothing. So that's an update on that.
Well, Eric, we're going to be talking about these three-letter .ais that Josh is selling. We got a lot of other topics, but first I wanted to welcome, I see Namer Tips on stage, and I say, how pompous can this guy be? Provides alpha insight on all things digital identity. That's in his bio. maybe it's closer to provides alfalfa, which turns into horse. You know what? Hey, Namer Tips, nice to see you. What's going on?
What's going on? I had to get in on the conversation because when we had these conversations, it always seems like the creativity part is left out, the distinction, the personalization. I know that the internet was built to be commercial by some people, but we have to account for the millions upon millions of people that are using social media and will eventually probably transfer over to using domains. So I think what's happening with the .in situation, I think it was Arif who was saying that he gets it. I think we all get it. It's a country code, your country, and so on and so forth. But I don't think that it's just the country code part. Like, it's the letters I and N, right? So it's not the language part of it. It's the literal, this is English alphabet letters .I and N. So when you restrict people from being able to go ahead and register domains under the English .I and the N, I think that is worth having a discussion about on a global scale, right? And then I think IN is cool for, domain hacks and things of that nature. Because let's be honest. I mean, all of the keyword.com names, we kind of know what's going on with that. And if a company or a team has the budget or the interest in going after names like that, then that's their prerogative. But a lot of these companies, I just seen one yesterday, I forgot what the company was, but they have this really forward thinking suction TV to the wall or whatever. And in typical, I'm pretty sure we all do it. We sit there and say, I wonder what domain they're using. And they're using a .tv. I'm not privy to, who manages the .tv extension, but I would assume that, let's just say it was a country code. That company would probably be pissed to the heavens if the country restricted that name, and they would understand that, hey, I get that it's a country code, but it's still TV. Like, there's people around the world that use TV frequently. So with that being said, I think that we can expect more of that. Companies kind of restricting, I mean, not companies, but countries restricting individuals being able to register those names. But I think what that's going to do is that's going to make a lot of the decentralized TLDs more desirable, right? Because people want distinction. All of the underscores, the dashes, I think that, look, some people are probably going to fry me over this, but I think that what WS does with the emoticons, I think that's very unique. I think that at the end of the day, they were before their time, but I think that time is catching up, and I think they're going to get a pickup. I think what .it is doing with .it and .com, .it or it.com, I think they're going to see a pickup. I think the cards are being shuffled, for lack of better words. So, but as far as what they were saying with the notice from the registrar, before the registry lets you know, yeah, I think that's kind of strange. I think there's no way ICANN or whoever governs that, they need to put it in the criteria that if you are the registry, the news that anything is changing with the TLD needs to come from you first, because that creates so much confusion if the news is coming from a registrar. And then we're having a space right now sorting out whether or not this information is accurate, when does it apply? And that shouldn't be the case for anybody that's investing. So I think that they can go ahead and step up and take accountability for that. But yeah, I'll leave that there.
So just to let you know, like for the anything 2-letter on the right of the dot, any extension that's 2-letter, it's nothing like, yeah, it's TV, it's in, because there's me, right? But they're not they're never assigned based on the English word. They're basically, every 2-letter extension is based on the international codes for the 2-letter codes, basically, of representing the country. So
They're based on
.in
ISO codes, but ICANN has nothing to do with CCTLD. They have
but
control
ICANN assign like the countries the codes,
over.
right?
That's through IANA, not
ISO.
not ICANN. ICANN has no control over country codes.
IANA
is the authority that assigns the ISO codes.
Okay.
And the dialing
so,
numbers.
IANA,
and all that.
yeah. Okay, but either way, it's what I mean. It's like it's the 2-letter extensions have nothing to do with the language. So again, it's totally ownership of the country in question. So, like it or not, and there's probably won't be any 2 letters ever assigned. Like .go would be a cool one to have, right? So make it, somebody separate a state, make their own country, and have, call it like go something, right? And you'll get the .go extension just by default. But yeah, you'll never see those. Even some of the 3-letter country codes are reserved. Like people are talking like .eth, but ETH is the 3-letter country code for Ethiopia, and they're not in use, but they are reserved. So the next round of NGTLDs will likely never see that happen, right? People want .eth, but it's probably not going to happen. We'll see. Things can change, and maybe Ethiopia might make some arrangement, and IANA and ICANN, whatever it is, they're going to figure something out. But again, all these standards are there for a reason, and is it good or bad? Who knows? But yeah, it's just that's the way it works. And again, like the countries they can do what they want.
Yeah, luck of the draw. I was going to say, I used to call a friend up and go, "Hey, Gomer, it's Goob." So I think Gomer and Goober would be 2 good country names, because then you could get the .go. And then also, can you believe that was so good writing back then? They made them cousins, Gomer and Goober Pile. That was good. But namer tips, it is important that it is an attractive extension. We've always thought that because of the .in. And Paul, I know you appreciated what he was mentioning about, it does, it's basically ready for more worldwide acceptance. But what Anthony said as well, the restrictions may be a benefit, or the control that the .in has, it could possibly end up being a benefit, but we're still waiting to see it. We know the countries do control their own extensions, and just got to wait and see. Anybody want to talk? Now we're going to talk about, well, we got a few different topics, but yeah, so is anybody, I guess there's still a few of these 3-letter .ais. I have one, I believe it was YGF.ai, because I thought your girlfriend. Yeah, they're like, what's that say? It's your girlfriend. It's not mine. It's your girlfriend. But I didn't even get any of them, because I was like, and I looked at them when there was plenty of, 3, say, premium letters available. This was like over a year ago, because now there's still, I think, 20% maybe available, but some crappy ones. But let's whip it around the horn. I'm sure Arif doesn't have any 3-letter .ai, but anybody? Paul, you, anybody in the crowd, raise your hand. Come on up. Who's invested in 3-letter .ai, and what do you think about Josh's sales? 2 of them, 50K each. MSL.ai, MCM.ai. There's something there. Anyway, Paul, you have any of these?
Nada, sir. I too steep for my blood. I'm not going down that route of paying those renewal fees. I mean, how many do you have to register to hit the jackpot is what it is. I don't want to go out there. It's just not my avenue, is what I'm saying. I have my lane. I stick in my lane. I don't know .ai that way. Yeah, if I come across something that I really like, I'll buy it. But yeah, in terms of his sale, man, awesome. I really want to know is how many of those does he have? And then for the one you have, I think it's great because girlfriend was one of those big sales. So this is great. Did you just hand register that? And then what's the renewal on those? Are they different for 3 letters? I'm not even sure how the rules on those are.
Yeah, that was a hand reg. I paid, I think, $150, 150 for 2 years at Dynadot, or like maybe 148. So yeah, I got that as a hand reg, and yeah, we'll get, when Josh gets in here. He said there he is, green shirt. I like your icon, Josh, because it's easy for me to spot out. It's like I'm not going to say what I think. It sort of reminds me of him, snarky. Okay, so hold on, let me see. I can't even get this guy. Like I said, I hate when I hear people do it, so I'm going to do it for you guys. I see his name. I'm going to click on it. Invite the co-host. Oh, I'm just the sidekick. I invite him to co-host. He's supposed to invite me to co-host. I'm just... Okay, so I invited him. Can't wait to hear. He said he just bought 30 of them. All right, but those are in the aftermarket, and he already owned a bunch. So, Josh, what's up? What's going on?
What's up, sidekick? How you doing?
I told him earlier that, yeah, you said that last time, and who was crying after the show. So, yeah, Paul asked, I mean, congratulations on this sale. Your wife must think you're smart, but she knows you close enough to know it's luck. So, but I mean, so
Yeah,
the
exactly.
point is, so you said you just picked up 30 of them. Tell us about how you acquired the ones and how many you had before. These are just three-letter.ai. And then where did you pick up these 30? And tell us a little bit about the cost of buying them now in the aftermarket, the good ones.
So that post was a repost from March. That was when I bought 30 of them. And both of the sales that I had this week were from that batch. From that batch of purchases. I So yeah, I mean I have about 30-ish, maybe a few more now. Three-letter .ai's, so not many. But I think I've mentioned it before, like they were very high quality the very high quality SLDs. Taken in probably 200 plus extensions, most of them. A lot of usage. I bought them all in the aftermarket. So I think I heard you mention there that there were a bunch that are still available. 20% are still available or whatever. These were all purchased at a premium price. I think I paid about $1,000 for each of them. You can't get them for $1,000 anymore. Probably the kind of quality that I picked up in March is probably going to cost you about 3 or 4K now. Maybe even more than that, to be honest. Especially after this week. But yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. Extremely lucky, especially to hit two in 1 week. And it's not like I've got a million of them. So, you know, domain investing is interesting, right? What you have to do is you have to position yourself to get lucky. Um, and that's it really. You can and if you continue to position yourself correctly, eventually these kind of sales do hit.
Well, Josh, there's a special guest in the crowd. She doesn't know I'm going to call her out. Leonie Milano. I've never met her, but I see she owns leo.ai. Love it. Three-letter.ai's. You're right. They're high. So you spend a dime each, let's say 30 grand, 35 grand. And then that one sale pays it back, and you're thinking, whew, okay, I'm back in the game playing poker. I know you're a poker player. And then all of a sudden you hit another big one, and you're thinking, who's got a little bit of stack in front of them? You look around the other guys, because I know how you are. You look around like, oh no, I'm not trying to intimidate anybody. You guys are just dumber than me. Hey, it's awesome to have Dave come up here. I mean, fuck, I haven't talked to him in a while. It's fucking great to see him. He lives close by. I might have some coffee with him before this summer's over. But Dave, what's going on?
Hey, Todd, what's going on, man? It's been a while, but good to see you. I've been listening. Had a question for Josh. Hey, Josh, on those new SLDs, what is your sort of mental approach? Are you going after the three letters? Are you going after dictionary words? What's your natural sort of direction when you realize you sort of have you're there early? What do you think about that?
Like are you talking about like when I purchased
Like,
those .ais, those
yeah,
three?
yeah. So you're looking at AIs. You could get
Yeah,
dictionary words, three letters, acronyms. What do you feel more confident about reselling?
yeah. I mean, so March. I purchased those March 2025. So in the grand scheme of .ai, that's not early at all. And I can tell you why I purchased them, and that is I was purchasing one word AIs 2018, 2017. One of the earliest ones I bought was stock.ai, which um, I then sold to Andy, and Andy has since sold that for a lot. But long story short, I've been buying them for a while, and then 2023 came, and they started to really take off. And then over the next 18 months or so, all of the reasonably priced one word .ais or top brandable .ai's were scooped up by domain investors. Prior to that, there was quite a lot of usage, but one of the things that stopped a lot of domain investors going kind of like all in on the extension was the fact that the transfers and renewal costs were so high, and you were required to pay for 2 years. And at 2 years renewal, you're talking $130. So when you start, when you want to register 50, 100, 200, top .ai, suddenly that investment kind of like becomes pretty significant. But anyway, to answer your question, in March of this year, I was just, surveying the market as I do on a daily basis, and scanning TLDs, just essentially looking for opportunities, right? And one thing that I've been thinking about a lot is that there was a lot of people going after these one word AIs, and the prices were going up. I mean, people paying 10, 15 grand wholesale for good one word AIs. And I just noticed that there was a lot of 3-letter AIs that were what I would consider premium 3-letter AIs, where they have a lot of usage, they're registering a lot of TLDs that were sitting in, sometimes some of them were less than $1,000, and that's just market inefficiency. And at that point, I was like, okay, I'm just going to scoop all of these up, basically. I probably paid for about 50 of them, and about 30 of them got delivered. The other 20 didn't. And yeah, does that kind of answer your question? So, I mean, basically, I wasn't going for 3-letter AIs. I just felt like the market was pricing them
Gotcha.
inefficiently compared to single word AIs.
Yeah, no, you just never know. 5 years later, here they are. Like you said, they just took off. It's a matter of timing. I'm looking at some renewals now on, some domains that I registered just, or, sort of early, but good 3 letters and dictionary words. CCTLD, I think it's .cv. I've bought a few of those, and they're coming up. It goes so fast, man. They're coming up on renewal already. But I've noticed that traffic-wise, even though by far my portfolio is .com, I'm getting a lot of hits on these CCTLDs. I don't know, and Spaceship, the way they're showing the traffic now, it's actually interesting. The countries, the regions, these traffic's coming from. So I don't know, but I am seeing a lot of hits on these landing pages, uniques even, that I'm not seeing on some of my .coms. I mean, obviously, the dictionary words, I think, in any extension, or at least, relatively warm extensions, are going to be, looked at. But I mean, I've got some pretty good .coms too, and I'm not seeing the traffic that I'm seeing on these CCTLDs. Are you seeing any of that?
I don't monitor traffic too much, to be quite honest with you.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Interesting.
traffic isn't something that I'm. I will look at it from time to time, and if there's a spike in traffic, that might mean something. But traffic is not a representation of value, in my opinion.
Right. I actually use it more if I see like a spike in traffic on a domain, if I don't have like a buy now price on it, I will put a price, and sort of it's sort of an indication to me that maybe the right prospect could be looking. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
how I use it. I mean, I don't look at it
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
for the
that's a
price itself. I don't look at it at all, but I do look at it like, okay, maybe people are looking at this. Maybe I'll put a price on this if I want to sell it.
Totally.
Hey, before Dave takes off, and I see definitely Chris, I dox people, that's Namer Tips. I want to go to Chris in the second summit, but before Dave takes off, we never know, the guy will leave for like 2 years. Dave is seasoned, savvy, successful domainer. Been doing it plus 20 years plus, like me. Remember Dave from way
Yeah,
back. But the point is, Dave, I wanted to ask you just a couple things. One,
sure, sure.
tell us one or two sales that you've had in the last year, just so we know what's selling. But then also, what trends are you buying into? Because I'm interested in what have you been picking up a little bit. Where do you think there's some nice investment opportunities?
Sure. Yeah, I found my way, and great to see you, Todd. Right now, I'm on the 101 freeway heading west to my office over in Woodland Hills here. I live in Sherman Oaks, so it's a short drive. Right now, there's no traffic, but that's where I'm at. So people sometimes think I'm crazy because I really believe that there are a lot of good .coms available, either in the aftermarket or even to hand register in some cases. But I really do. I feel strongly that my money, I like taking bets on the technology, cutting edge stuff, emerging technologies. It's funny. I think I overlook a lot of just everyday products and service type, or product and service type names. It's just not where my head's at. So to answer your question, I'm investing in technology names and brandables. I like brandables. Brandables, you can sort of, I believe at least, you can sort of make your own as a registrant, a company, an end user. Okay, to me, more than even dictionary words and things like that. I don't know what the future holds for all of that, particularly with AI and all these agents. I mean, but for now, I think it's great. It's a vanity thing to an extent. I think that it speaks volumes, and I with the current technology, I don't think there's a better investment for a company that wants a larger stage. As far as sales, I sell pretty regularly, so I don't really. Let me try to remember. I can tell you one that was surprising. I moved some names over to Spaceship from Afternic, and within one day, this was like maybe 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, something like that. But within a day of moving these particular names, maybe 600 names, I moved over to Spaceship, and within a day, I had 2 offers. And one of the things that I'll do sometimes on, I don't want to say lower quality, but just not premium domains, is I'll put like my minimum offer right at where I would just sell it, right? So that's what I had done on these names. One came in at the minimum offer. I accepted it, and the guy paid immediately. It was Sabbath AI. I got a lot of those keyword plus AI type names. So it's just Sabbath AI, and I think about it, and it's like, okay, with millions of names, $1,000 for this name. Okay, great. I hand registered it. It was $7. I think I bought it in November. I registered it in November last year, maybe something like that. Somebody could look it up, but anyway, Sabbath AI was a very recent sale. It was a hand reg for a few months, and then I sold it for $1,000. Other than that, I mean, I get them. I had a sale pretty quick through Afternic, maybe a couple months ago, but I just don't remember the names, Todd. I got so many in my head, brother. I don't even remember.
Yeah. Well,
But it's good. It's all good. Oh, and then the other one, the other offer that immediately came in on Spaceship there was USDLY, so like USDLY.com. It came in at like $2,000 or something, and I thought, okay, $2,000, fine. Well, that guy never paid, and it was actually good to see how Spaceship handled that. They were very quick about paying on the one, like very quick, within a day. It was like somebody reached out, and, how do you want it? Boom, it was there. But the other one, the guy actually disappeared. He never paid. He disappeared, and I guess what they do is they cancel the account or limit it or something like that. But there is a penalty for that. They were very kind about it. They felt bad about it. But No, that would be a recent sale, and also it was kind of mixed with getting to know Spaceship a little bit better. Which I gotta say, I've been with Afternic for, I don't know, 11, 12 years, 13 years, something like that, and they've always been great. And I I don't want to be critical because they do. I've done pretty well with Afternic, and but I just cannot deny the attraction that I have for the Spaceship interface and the direction that they're going and the speed at which they're making changes and the way that they're listening. So yeah, I'll mention that as well. Anyway, Todd, great to see you, man.
Thanks, Dave. Dave, I mean, what's cool is, and Josh, if you've never met David, is always activity, always action, true domainer, a businessman. So it's not his primary business, but he certainly has made enough over the years to, survive on domaining, which most people couldn't. But I mean, always testing out the new stuff, like you said, going over to the seller hub. But that's why it's great to hear from you, Dave, is just knowing you, take it seriously, and you got your finger on the pulse all the time. And I of course I know that. But hey, so Josh, go ahead, Dave.
One last thing, Todd. I just want to mention, I don't know if Paige is still around, but we were talking about .la, and I will tell you, Todd, or Paige, my blue.la, BLU, blue.la still gets a lot of hits too. I think that name will sell at some point.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Dave, it's fucking awesome, and I know. So you're gonna be over at Woodland Hills. I'll reach out to you just because we gotta cross paths in real life so we can butt heads and go, hey, I'm taller than you. Okay, so hey, namer tips, Chris. Go ahead because I have some questions for Josh, but go ahead, namer tips, and then Samit. Thanks for being patient. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I'm gonna address something real quick with Dave, and then throw it back to Josh because I was gonna touch on the three-letter aspect of things. But Dave, you were talking about the traffic, and I agree with you 100% because not too long ago we had registered qualified.cv, and that name has been getting traffic. And one thing that I wanted to go ahead and recommend to you is that if you're getting traffic like that, and this can apply to anyone, if you're getting traffic like that and you're not necessarily getting inquiries or or not planning to sell it, you might want to go ahead and convert it to an informational site, right? On this side, we're not really big on the ads, but usually if you're running an informational site and you got to keep up the maintenance, usually to go ahead and, subsidize that, you'll go ahead and run ads. But I think that would be ideal too, because those keywords, sometimes when people are searching for things, the domain or the website will come up and then people will click on it to go to it. But if it doesn't have any information, they'll just go elsewhere. So this might be an opportunity to go ahead and use it as a platform to educate people on whatever is relevant to that particular name, and maybe even get some, some advertisement pool from it or revenue. But that's just a thought. So I just wanted to go ahead and let you know you weren't the only one seeing that bump with CV. But as far as like the three, yeah, I think it's something that's not necessarily, it doesn't get discussed often, but I think that's something you might want to tap into, or, on the back end, we can go ahead and chat about it.
Yeah, I may have bought like 300 of those or something, and they're all good words. I mean, really good, words. And you actually, that's why I like these things, because you just sort of said something that turned on a light in my head. I'm not really big on developing domains that I have for sale. It's just, I think whenever I get a domain, I do see a vision where, if I did develop it, what I would probably do. But with this Spaceship, I think that you reminded me to ask them if they allow HTML in that description that you're able to put in there, because if they do, I know FD, I think used to, but if they do allow that, that might be something that I might be interested in. I might be more inclined to do, rather than necessarily developing the informational pages. Maybe putting something to that effect in my little description field there. So no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's awesome hearing you guys think out loud. Okay, I'm kidding. Hey, Summit, what's going on? And then I want to beat Josh up.
No, I just wanted to say something Dave said about traffic to on Seller Hub. Name Groove, there's a guy on X called Name Groove, and he was saying that Telehub counts traffic differently. What you're seeing is SLD traffic and not the complete domain name. I don't know how far it's true, but that's what he said.
Thanks, Amit. How are you, by the way? Good to see you too, or hear you at
Great to
least.
see you. I think last time we spoke was on Clubhouse or something.
Yep, for sure. Paul, good to see you as well.
Like a high school reunion. Hey, Josh. So when you mentioned there just a minute ago, and we're going to go into not building a business on a domain, just like Dave talked about, and Josh, you posted about it recently. But Josh, what about this? What about this? Hold on, Chris. What about you said 20 of the names weren't delivered? So you bought some names and they weren't delivered, and you paid for them, or what did you mean when you said that about those three-letter.ai?
Just like expired listings, old listings. Sometimes the seller has like outdated pricing and doesn't want to honor it, like all of these things, right? So I would say when I'm I posted about this fairly recently. When I'm shopping, I'm typically buying on the aftermarket like 90% of the time. And I know that most other people on here are probably 90% of the time buying in auctions. I'm the opposite, which means that I just get refunded a lot because when I do identify a name that I like, I tend to think it's a good deal, and good deals aren't always honored, as you know.
Okay, so I have a follow up to that, but I wanted to say I did get a list today. You may have gotten it too, Josh, from a friend over at 4CN, over in China. She sent me a list of 46 3L.coms that range from 21,800 to 41,900. I actually liked the cheapest one. Some of the cheapest ones better than some of the others. None of them were, I consider, try premium, meaning all three letters were those letters that I like without a J, K, Q, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. But so would you still be buying, I mean, three letter? I mean, even,
Yeah.
at that range. So, yeah, you look at them and you decide. Okay, well,
Yeah.
go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say I was really frustrated that I missed the auction on mcc.com yesterday, because I think that 90,000 for that is such a steal. I mentioned in another group, like I really wanted that name, and I'd been talking to various brokers representing the name over the last like year or so, and was willing to pay more than that. So whoever got it, congrats to them. It's a piece of internet history, and it's also just a phenomenal three-letter.com. So to answer, I guess your question is, I certainly would buy three-letter.coms. I'm not generally like interested in them as like as just like, oh, three-letter.com, I want to buy it. It's like I'm interested in good domain names, and some three-letter.coms are really good domain names.
Chris got booted off stage, so he's back now. Did you have a comment, name, or tips? And I got a few things I wanted to get into. We're going to be here 30 more minutes, so anybody wants to come on stage, do it now. Don't do your bullshit and come up here 5 minutes before I close this thing. What's up, name or tips?
Yeah, I want to congratulate Josh on the sales. Those three-letter .ai's, here's a unique one for you. So the Dubai Future Foundation and I think it's the Dubai Center for Artificial Intelligence, they're using dub.ai, right? And I think that it's worth noting that obviously is a hack. But then on top of that, Dubai, UAE has .ae, so they could have easily went with whatever .ae. But in this case, they decided to go with dub.ai, and I think they might be using UAE dub.ai as well. So the three letters, I think, definitely have a lot of potential, especially when they can be used as hacks, and you have the AI extension. So I think that you have these layered variables for them to be valuable. And I think that that's just worth noting here. So kudos to you, Josh, for being able to capitalize on that. I don't think that the
Damn.
potential
I was
As
just
you
gonna say, just gonna cut you off. Sorry, real quickly. That example that you gave is such a cool domain, right? Because, like you said, it's a hack for Dubai. It's got the AI in there, and they're obviously they their business is Dubai Universal Blueprint for AI. So you've got the artificial intelligence component, and then on top of that, Dub is like a way of is like slang for like a win, right? DUB. Like that's a sick name. I love that name.
Hey,
yeah, I agree. They hit it out the park with that one.
hey, Josh, when you mentioned a couple weeks ago, 5 to 10 refunds on aftermarket purchases each week, you were talking about your own, like you said, your own purchases out there, right? That um, you're, or were you talking about, was that related to DNX people buying and then,
No,
okay,
that's
was,
mostly me. Mostly me.
okay,
On DNX. A lot of deals that happen on DNX are actually offers. So we end up, having negotiations with the sellers. So in that scenario, it's like basically 100% fulfillment rate. But no, just my case in particular. I get a lot of refunds for the reasons I mentioned. What was name a tips? What was your name, man? I didn't catch your name. Sorry for cutting you off before as well, man.
You good. You the winner. You the winner. It's Chris.
Well, nice to meet you, Chris.
yeah.
Nice.
Because I was thinking, geez, that dox me a little bit, but don't dox my kids and my last name. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to be able to. I want to be able to talk to some,
sure.
by his name.
Yeah, right. Because Josh is one of those salespeople who tries to be personal like me. He'll start saying your name like he cares about you. You say, okay, so Josh, when we're going to get to a few things that you mentioned recently, and one is, and I look forward to hearing. And this is just a lie. I look forward to hearing what Arif has to say about it too. Do not build a business on your domain. So Dave was saying he doesn't really do that. Josh, you said no. Don't start putting up a website and confusing the fucking end user. You're trying to sell the name. Don't put your idea out there. Is that how you feel about, don't build on a name you plan on selling? Even, you don't need to give the potential buyer an idea.
I mean, no, not necessarily. The way that I'm thinking about it more is that um, some of the best domain acquisitions that are made today are the ones where um, they weren't previously for sale. So, buyers, possible buyers were simply just not aware that the domain was available. And when you then acquire a name and then don't make it obvious that it's available, you're not capitalizing on the fact that you can now bring a domain to market clearly. Um, you'll be surprised, but a lot of people, will see a landing page, and if it doesn't say, this name is for sale, then they'll assume it's not for sale. Um, so, when you start getting creative with these landing pages and making them look like they're, you know, attempts at a built out business, uh, you're definitely hurting your chances at a sale. And I think that a lot of us have dabbled with those kind of ideas in the past, and my opinion is that it's not worth getting fancy with it.
Practical, your answer's smart. But Arif, you and Dave, if you're there, I mean, is that why you do it? The same reason? Just nope, why confuse somebody?
I think the best value for a domain is the dream of the end user, right? And why distract them from that best case thing? Plus, if it's built out, now all of a sudden they're going to ask you, well, what's the metrics, what's the revenue, all this other stuff. So I mean, if you're really good at it, like go for it, right? But like for me, I just the time involved doesn't really seem worth it. And people saying now with AI, it makes it easier. And yeah, again, if you're really good at doing that stuff, and it's not going to take you much time and resources, and the domain is very specific, like there's only one type of business that could be on that domain, then yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I just think it's, there's no point putting that energy into it. But again, like for me, I always, for the most domains, somebody's waking up one day and they have an idea in their head already, and that's like the best case scenario that they're going to pay the most for. And I just don't understand why people want to distract from that. It just, I just rather them pay the highest price because they're going to build their dream on it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that unless it's a high traffic name that you might be able to sell a product or generate some kind of income from. I think it would only be a distraction. I mean, from selling the name. And I don't need to repeat what's been said, but I agree. I agree with what everyone said about that. I do like the idea of add-ons. I wish maybe one of these marketplaces would do something like that. Like my landing pages, I like the way GoDaddy, for example, puts thumbnails of little website pictures. Their AI somehow will understand. So if I put a name in there that I have, it'll say, do I want to build a website? And the little thumbnails are there of the templates. And I kind of like that. I wish maybe they do something like that. That I think could work. But otherwise, as far as just developing them, I don't develop names I'm selling. I just, that's like driving a car that I want to sell. They're better on a lot, for sale than people driving them around with a for sale sign in them. So anyway, yeah.
Okay, and I don't know about in LA. That's a pretty good strategy to put the shit, because then people are like, you know what? At least we can see that it's running. So yeah, I don't know if I agree with you on that last piece. Hey, Josh and Dave, Dave's thinking, Todd, you could, you're not real far off there. Um, Josh, well, any topics you wanted to touch on? Because I got a couple more I wanted to ask you about, but anything at the top of your mind? Because we're going to go for another 20 minutes.
No, not really, man. No, haven't been thinking too
Great.
much.
Okay, well then,
Sorry.
okay, just say no. Hey, so you and James Booth have conversations every once in a while, and I wanted to know, it's like one of these reporters. I want a glimpse into the conversation. But when you guys are talking about domain stuff, I know you sometimes talk about other crap. Who knows? But the point is about domain stuff. What what are some things that he said to you that you could share that you remember? Like he's thinking, hey, I'm messing with this new extension, like you were fucking around with .1. But I mean, what are some things you guys talk about, like trends? Where do you think some things are going to be? Just any info from your conversations about domain investing with James Booth that may be interesting to me.
To you. So we actually got our families together the other day, and I went to a pub here and met up with him, had lunch, had some drinks, uh, met his some members of his family, and rubbed his belly for a little bit of that James Booth luck, and then guess what? Suddenly I got two big AI sales. So um, he's a magician. But no, in serious, we talk every day, really, and I talk with numerous other investors every day as well. Um, he is, I would say, like one of the things that I've learned from him and his brother actually is that once you identify um, a market that is ripe and growing, like the .ai market, and especially if you discover it early, like I did, um, you know, I think you have to have strong conviction in that assessment, and trust your gut. If you've done the work to discover something that you believe has value, in order to really really reap the benefits of it, you have to take some degree of risk. um and I think in the past I've kind of held back a little bit on that, for good reason, I suppose. So over the years, something that I've definitely learned from him, and had discussions with him about, and Andy as well, is that you just got to trust your instincts, and really commit to commit to your thesis. If you think if you've got a good investment thesis, then commit to it, because most of the time, if you've done your research and you're an expert in the industry, um, you're probably right.
Were you, when we hear about, well, somebody like Andrew Miller, he's a broker, so he sells, I think he may have some of his names himself. When I hear from Drew Rosner, we know sometimes he'll say, yeah, that was mine. So congratulations. He bought it and he buys, spends money on names, that. And it's cool. A lot of his names are names that he brokers for others. Do you only sell your own names? Do you ever broker names?
I mean, yeah, I broker names. I brokered a couple years ago. I brokered byte.com, byte.com for 7 figures to a publicly traded company. I've done numerous other 6-figure sales as well. And then, every day I'm essentially brokering deals via DNX as well. So in terms of brokerage deals that I'm personally handling, it's definitely I'm doing, well into 6 figures of brokerage deals every month.
That's cool. The reason I ask is because I know with we see your sales, like with these two that just happened, we know they're your names, and it's like it really means a lot different to the domain investors. When we see the brokers, you know, saying, "Hey, we sold this." Well, like I said, some of them mix their hand in both. I think they're investors and they're brokers. Most of the brokers are just simply brokers. We know some brokers who I could now name their names. I won't even do it. They basically, yeah, they started buying names, just in the last 5 years, and they think they're really not. They were brokers from the start. They're brokers today, and they're almost new domain investors. And that opposed to some of the brokers are real savvy investors, like I mentioned about Rosner, been doing both. But no, I just ask because I know when we see your sales posted, I know those are sales that were from your portfolio, and it's fucking nice to, sell your personal items. Say personal. So I don't,
Yeah.
I know. Go
I would
ahead.
say most successful investors can broker, but not all successful brokers can invest. I don't know if
Yeah,
that might. I think that rings true in most ways.
yeah. Most broke. I mean, anyway, I agree with that. There's two other things I wanted to touch on. Anybody else want to say? Fuck, I don't care. I'd just like to hear somebody wants to come up and
There's
comment.
also I do want to preface that there's also like different types of brokerage, right? You've got like a brokerage firm like Hilco with like Daniel and Andrew Miller, and I would say that very few people can do that type of brokerage because it's very much an outbound based brokerage, and I think they've proven that. So that's very difficult, but there's a lot more to There's a lot more ways that you can broker deals that don't involve, uh, reaching out to end users.
I wanted to mention now about, so you're on a panel with Braden and with Mike Mann, and I know
Oh yeah.
I saw a post. Shane posted something about a lot of the same stuff. He's not the only one that said it for years. There's a lot of the same people that do the panels, and it's like new blood. And I've mentioned guys from like Dave, who's on stage, but Adam, who's right there in the crowd. There's some folks that they're not new to domaining, but would be great to be on panels. But the reason why I very much look forward to seeing you old guys, and you're not even an old one. You've been on a few panels, but my point is Braden, okay, he's done it for 20 years. Mike Mann been around forever. But the reason why it's very important, I think, go back to, how many people want to hear what Braden's doing? Yeah, and I would say, Braden, well, I like the guy a lot. I was going to say, fuck Braden, what he did 5 years ago. I'm interested in, he spent so much money these last 3 years in his sales this past year. Yeah, now's when we want to hear from him. It's not like, oh, he's washed up. He's at the top of his game. Now's when we want to hear from him. So I don't go to that school where, we've already heard from Braden. Dude, this whole fucking last year has been different. And Mike Mann, now's when, not just me, and I've been around, I've heard their bullshit, and I can't wait to hear it again. Meaning, these are the top guys, so they're the all stars. So we always want new voices, but still, I look forward, I was going to moderate that fucking panel, but they said, you're fucking speaking too much. We got to, they're going to try to railroad me out of there. But that was my idea, to say, how do you guys build these portfolios? And I said, here's some of the guys I'd like to fucking go through, like rapid fire of saying, hey, Mike, okay, we want to, everybody has questions about him and his, his domain market and the money that he spends and the prices that he gets. And, I know he's profitable, but people like, no, is he really profitable? Is he really? Yeah, he is. But still, I like to know, how much. But I mean, I like, these guys are in the fucking, they're not only generals, they're in the field like fucking soldiers. Excuse my language. But especially you, Josh, of, geez, you do this every day. Just because we've heard from you a little bit before, and now we're lucky each week people come in here and can hear from you, and hear from you on Sherpa. It's awesome to be able to do it live.
There are a lot of other people that are out there, to Shane's point, that we don't hear from, that are very, very successful, more successful than I am. The issue is that most of them don't want to talk about what they're doing. I think a lot of them just don't want to put themselves out there, which is unfortunate but understandable.
That's true. And there's a lot of guys that are super successful. I get it. But I would say the top brokers, too, are sometimes the same ones. Drew has been around. I mean, and he loves the show. Look, I've done it 10 years in a row. But still, you want to hear from the top guy. It's like Barry Sanders. Hey, Shane, thanks for being here. I didn't even know you were in the crowd. But yeah, I noticed what you said. And, the NamesCon reached out to me and said, hey, do you know people that have never spoken before that may be interested? And I gave him a list of some people, so maybe there will be. But what say you? Nice to see you. What's up?
No, and I don't want to cut in front of Namer here. I just I want to make sure I am clear about the people. I respect everybody up there. You guys are my friends. You're the best in the business. That's not what I meant by it. What I meant is know your audience. We've been to these NamesCon, and it is the people that are listening to your show today. It is the people watching Sherpa. There are not a ton of new people. There are people that listen to us every day and listen to the talk. And what I'm saying is, I've been to a lot of conferences in other industries, and they're always bringing outside business people and outside public speakers and other things that maybe aren't industry related, but are intelligent business people that come in and give us motivation, give us an outside opinion, give us some other information. And it doesn't have to be a whole panel of that. It just needs to be a couple of those. And we used to have those 10 years ago. And I know it's finances, I know it's difficult, and I know what I'm saying is much easier said than done. But the reality is, I felt like the effort's not been there to bring in anything outside and make this a real conference. But I also understand the restraints. And so I don't want to make this easier than it is, and I don't want to make people seem less. Again, listening to Josh, listening to you guys, I'm here in my spare time. I'm listening to you guys speak great stuff, get me motivated. When Josh has a sale, I get super excited. I'm just saying, I would love to. I went to VCon and saw incredible speakers that had nothing to do with NFTs or blockchain, but they got me motivated about business. So maybe that's just my opinion.
Well, you were one of the lucky ones that got to see Kim Carpaccio, so I know what you mean. I'm just kidding. So Kim Kardashian came to one of the events. Well, last year at NamesCon, Shane, when you were there, the guy that invented, I don't know, something STP, anyway, or the guy, he lives right near me in Agoura Hills. He created the internet. I forget the guy's name. Zoran was trying to get, of course, there was a few guys, I can't remember their names, but they're so, they're like godfathers or grandfathers of some of the technology that we use. Like they created fucking SSL, they created SMTP, they created, and it's cool stuff. I liked your idea about Darmish, and I know Zoran, we tried to get trying to get John Cusack, the actor, to interview Ed Snowden. Then we realized this was probably for another event. But I like the idea of, let's, inject it with some other folks. But then there's obviously only so much room, meaning we know like Andrew at Hilco, he wants to say his piece, and wants to make sure that it's important to be in front DARPing at Adam. So a lot of them, I you're right. We've heard from them. I think there's still a lot of people that go to NamesCon who are like, hey, those are the folks I do business with. I'd like to see. Probably needs to be, this particular event coming up too is they're focusing on the partying later. So that part, I think you hit on, saying there needs to be more casual stuff where people can really interact, and they're focusing on that. One thing they did is it seemed like they're limiting to the sessions. I don't even know. I haven't seen it back up stage yet. Go ahead, Josh.
Nothing.
Okay. Hey, well, while we're here, so I wanted to finish by some things for domain investors, and that is the .1, Josh, and Dave, you, and if Shane's still here, Shane and Eric. So .1, is there anything there with the .1? People beat up the .now because they're trying to find out, is there some other opportunities with some of these other extensions? I think it's pretty limited, but we're seeing some sales. But Josh, tell us about this .1, and did you buy additional ones other than 20.1?
Yeah, so it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a .1. It has everything to do with the fact that it is 21. 21 is significant in the world of Bitcoin because there's the supply is 21 million. 21 is also pretty significant in gambling. So there's multiple exit paths for that domain. It's the type of domain that I see, crypto related companies and other finance companies. It's the type of like domain hack type thing that I see companies using. It's quite trendy, and probably serves at markets that like to spend a lot of money on domains. So it has nothing to do with .1. Actually, after I bought it, Drew reached out and asked if he could buy it from me, and I said no. So I really like that domain. I think that to most people, I think on first glance, they probably think it's not really very good. It's just and don't get me wrong, it's not amazing. It's still a new GTLD. There's not loads of demand there. But as far as new GTLDs go, I think it's a very good one.
Well, how much is it? I mean, how much is the renewal, and is that a premium?
Not a premium. The renewal is like $15. I paid like $4,000, no less, 3,700 for it.
Well, just specifically on .1 and .now, I'd like to hear if Arif, Dave, Shane, .1, .now, anything
I think
there.
that's
Go ahead, Arif.
I think that's what Josh just mentioned. That I mean, it's a perfect example of a ho hum, like boring kind of TLD that I'm not really big on. But that's an exceptional domain. Like that's like we got to get creative, and you could find stuff, right? So to say .1 overall is no good, yeah, there's always opportunities there. I like .now, I like .club, like they're meaningful, right? There's meaning behind them, but I don't invest in either of them. But again, you're gonna find some stuff in there. I don't know their premiums now. Actually, we talked about .now a bit lately, and the prices were a little bit less than I thought they were for the premium ones. Like there's a bunch of them in the $100, $120 range that I thought were okay. Yeah, you know what? I could see that, right? It's got to be meaning on the left and the right. And I think with .club and .now, there's enough meaning on the right. Like the words are good enough on the right side that you could find some good domains when you connect with the left side. Not a lot of them compared to like .com or whatever else, but still enough that they're good extensions. You just got to find the right things. And Josh, man, that's a 21. I somebody who's working in the casino most of my life. That's a really good one. That's really that's cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, cool casino name as well, right? But yeah, I think that you mentioned. I just want to mention, something that Arif kind of like touched on there, and I think it's important. I think if you want to assess it on a TLD level, it's about how many great combos there are with that TLD, right? With .horse, for example, there aren't that many good combos, but there actually are a couple. You know, uh, I can't even think about a couple. I can't even think about them on the top of my
Workhorse or
mind. Yeah,
racehorse.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. Workhorse. That's a great name. Work.horse. What a great name. Um, but in a TLD like .now, there are probably more, which is why .now is probably a better TLD than .horse. But work.horse is probably better than 99.9% of .now names. So, yeah, it's you gotta look at it on an individual basis.
Sure, but the challenge is getting people to know. Is you mean so anything goes? Horse was that stretch where it's just too big of a challenge to let them know. Yes, that is an extension. Dave, are you still there? Would you ever
Yeah,
buy
yeah, I'm here.
a dot one or a
Well,
.now?
I own a couple of them, but for me, I was always a little careful about dot one only because of the radio test. To me, it's but 21 is fantastic, Josh. There's no question of the spelling of one in that name when you say it, and so no, great acquisition, man. But no, dot one is. I like the extension. To me, I think somebody may have given up on them recently because I see a lot of them available, pretty good words and things, but I'm always hesitant because it just for any confusion. It's just not it's not an extension that I invest in a lot. I may have a handful of them. That's pretty much it.
Thanks. We're about ready to wrap up. But Shane, the .now thing, everybody's saying it's a call to action. It's pretty cool. It can make sense, but what's your feel for that .now? Is it just too big of a stretch, and would you rather invest in the old mainstay, basically spend more money on .com and .ai? What's your thoughts on .now?
Well, at this point, I just do whatever Josh does. So I saw he was selling his name, so I'm looking to get out now. But no, I think it's fine. I mean, I
Get
think
out
we've all hit
.now.
it on the head. I think we've all hit it on the head, though. I think it's just particular call to action names will work. I don't. I've seen this over 20 years. I've seen these frenzies come and go, and I'm a lemming. I try and take advantage of some sales. So I have a couple .nows that I've purchased. But again, I think I'm concentrating on the .coms and .ais. I'm sticking to the main ones, and I'm looking exactly like Josh's. If there's some particular names on the fringe TLDs that work with the TLD, then I'm a part of it. But I'm yeah, even XYZ, man, I got a terrible. I'll say this: I got a newsletter back from 2021 about XYZ deliverability rates for businesses are horrible. That it's actually killing business because the XYZ's delivery rate is 15% less than .com. And as I was sending out emails, I realized I'm sending from an XYZ and probably killing my rate. So there's little things like that that make me think and remind me that .com is still always going to be king, and on the outside there's opportunity, but you got to be careful how far you stretch out on that opportunity, whether it ties up your names or is a lesser quality inventory.
Hey, thanks for that, and thanks for jumping up here, Shane. I appreciate it. And next week, you brought up .xyz. Well, there's probably going to be some drama because I saw Mike Mann posted somebody sent him an email about the Swetha bullshit again. So unbelievable. But I mentioned Mike's going to be on a panel with Josh and Braden. I might reach out to Mike and say, hey, you want to come on in here? I mean, come in here next week. And by that time, I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of drama in the domain space. We prefer to talk about domain investing, but we can't we can't shake it. And sometimes I don't want to avoid it, like to hit it head on. But I'm sure we'll have plenty of fun stuff to talk about next week. Hey, Josh, when do you get back to the States? What month?
Soon, very soon. Beginning of August.
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to getting home. I can't tell you. I just miss my routines now. I had a good time, but I think 4 or 5 weeks was enough.
Yeah, if you get one more
I'm the
sale,
same
you're going to
way.
be sticking. Go ahead.
I've been at altitude here for 10,000, and today I just sat down and said, "Man, I'm heading home this weekend. I can't take it anymore. I miss home. I miss my routines. I'm exhausted. So it's good to get away and take these pretty pictures and have time with our family. But there's something about home, right, Josh?"
Oh man, I'm so tired. I don't think I've ever been this tired. It's just, I've got the three young kids as well, so, not having our nanny, not having them in school, it's just, have to actually be parents for this entire time. It's tough.
Yeah. Josh, you get one more sale, you'll be like, fucking, I'm not going back there. I'm lucky over here. And Shane, I told my wife that you mentioned on Sherpa that you lost 10 pounds, and she said, let's go visit them. It's like, we're ready to fucking, anyway. No, it's,
Yeah, altitude is the Ozempic of nature.
yeah. Somebody was wanting to request to come up here. No chance in hell. I got to go. I appreciate everybody being here. Thanks seriously to all of you that even contributed a little bit, come up here and participate. I needed the help. Okay. And thanks for listening, you guys, for a couple hours. We're going to do it obviously next Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Come on in, and then I'll see you on the Domain Name Law Show too. But have a great day wherever you're at. See you next week.
Thanks, guys. Have fun with your dot horses, Todd.